Hi guys, welcome back to another Sketch It Out Thursday. This is the inspiration piece for this week, and here is the sketch that I'm going to be using. It is from the Ellie Studio blog, and I am basically using a lot of those pastel-y colors that were in the inspiration piece for the bulk of my layout, and then I'm definitely staying very true to the sketch, because usually when I do a sketch, I pretty much stick to exactly what it shows. I'm not very good at taking a sketch and making it completely different. I'm better off making something just completely on my own if I'm going to do that, but I am a big direction follower, so if the sketch says one thing, I'm going to usually do exactly what it says, or at least for the most part. So I'm going to stick pretty true to that. What I did is I put some white gesso in the background, and this is the Azure Sea Blue, I think it's called, from Lindy's Stamp Gang, and like I said, I put that gesso on the background, and I'm going to use this spray and just kind of mush it all over across the top 1/3 of the page, just all the way across. And I'm going to do a couple different layers of this. So I'm going to put this on, I'm going to pat it up, I'm going to put another layer of the spray down just to give it more depth and dimension. Every time you add more layers on, you get more dimension to the background when you do it this way. And then after I'm happy with that, I am going to put a couple splatters down. And this does have a shimmer to it, so it's very, very pretty. It's a very pretty bluish silver shimmer. And I'm just kind of dabbing up a few of those drops that were a little bit big. And then I'm going to dry up the background. And then what I'm going to do is take a brand new stencil that I just purchased. It is a cloud stencil, and I am going to mix some lightweight modeling paste. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm going to put a little bit of this gelato down. So I'm just rubbing the gelato on the plastic and then adding a little bit of water and then putting that down. And then after this, I'm going to bring out that cloud stencil. So I'm just going to drip it around and then add that on. And again, just gives a little bit more depth and dimension. This is a flat color. It doesn't have any sparkle or shine to it. And like I said, it is a gelato, and I just smeared that down in the plastic and added water. I'm going to dry that up, and then I'm going to bring out that cloud stencil that I was just mentioning. I am going to mix some Lindy Stamp Gang spray with the cloud stencil, with the lightweight modeling paste, just to give it a little bit different. This is called Blue Hawaiian Blue. It's a little bit darker than the one that I put down as the splatters. And sorry, my lighting got really dark. I'm not sure what happened. So I apologize for this being a little bit of a darker video. It was sunny when I did this, so I'm not sure what was going on with the lighting. But you can see here, I'm just mixing that spray up, and I'm going to add 2 spritzes or so of it to get the color that I want, and then I'm going to put it through this template. And I'm just using like a little palette knife to get it on, and I'm not trying to be really careful. I kind of want it to be a little distressed looking and more just to add texture, not to really be able to tell it's necessarily clouds, but it's just more to give an overall texture to the background and a little bit different color. I kind of wanted this layout, because of the colors in the inspiration piece, to be very light and airy, so I'm kind of trying to do that, and I feel like clouds, just by the nature of clouds, they make it kind of light and airy, so that's why I was kind of going for that. I dried up the background a little bit, and I thought there wasn't quite enough clouds on the left hand side or the middle, so I am just adding a few more bits here and there, just to kind of cover up the entire background. And like I said, I'm not trying to make it look exactly like clouds where you can tell that's exactly that. It's just more to give texture and dimension to the background. So now that it's all dried up, I'm going to add in some more of this Blue Hawaiian Blue as the splatters, and then I'm going to dry up just a little bit of it so it's not so much up a puddle. And then once I get that down and dry, I am going to start working on my photo. And this is a photo of my grandma and my daughter, and I'm just putting the Polaroid frame around it. I think this Polaroid frame came from a crate paper collection. I can't quite remember which collection it was from, but it is crepe paper. Around the edge of the frame, it does have gold color. And so I'm just using my ATG gun, glued around the edges, and then I'm trimming out the photo. And I decided to print the photo in black and white because I didn't want to have to worry about the colors in the photo with the background. And actually, the colors that were in the photo were fine. I just felt like I wanted the black and white to kind of pop a little bit with all the color that I'm using, but a lot of times I'll use a black and white photo if I don't want to worry about the colors, or if I want to use a lot of rainbow colors and I don't want it to compete with the photo. So now that I have everything glued down, I'm going to go through this Dear Lizzie Neapolitan paper pad, and I'm going to be punching out various little pendants, and I'm going to show a couple of these and then I'm going to fast forward so you have to watch me do this, but I'm going to punch out several with the punch. I'm also going to cut out a couple squares and then make the flags just slightly bigger for those squares just to give it a little bit more dimension. That is also what is in the sketch that I'm doing. They didn't have all the same size of flags, so I'm just now cutting out and using the punched out flags as a template so I know how big I want to make the other ones. So like I said, I'm just making these just a little bit bigger and just playing around with it until I get the size I want. And I have all my flags cut out now, and I'm actually going to add one later on because I don't have quite enough on the right hand side, but I'm going to do that a little bit later. So now I'm just going to lay this out, and I am going to play with these flags for quite some time, but I'm actually going to fast forward so you don't have to watch me playing with it. So once I fast forward, then you'll kind of see that I've finally decided on this is the layout. I want to pop up the photo with the Polaroid, so I'm just using a little bit thicker pop dots than I normally use. Typically I use the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, but I want something a little bit more stand up off the page. I wanted to bring it off the texture background on the flags. So I'm just going to glue those down and remove all the sticky back and then stick that photo down. And then I thought the flags were kind of blending into the background a bit, so I wanted to add a little bit of something to make them stand out. So I'm taking a brown Sharpie marker and just outlining. And sorry, you could see my face in my head when I outline. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to outline all these flags, and I'm going to fast forward again so you're not watching me outline all the individual flags. And then when I'm back, I'm just going to finish off the last one or so. And I'm just doing a double line all the way around each one of the flags. And I think that looks much better. It really makes it stand off the background a lot better. So I'm glad I decided to do that because it just was blending in too much. Now I'm going to start sticking the flags down, and then after I stick them down, I'm going to use that white and brown twine that I have there to the left, and I'm going to kind of make it look like the banners are hanging on that string. And this is something else I'm going to play with quite a bit before I get it to look exactly how I want it. And I will also fast forward, I think, some of this here in a little while so that you're not watching me futz with it a little more than I normally do. So now I am going to pull out that other piece of paper, the one I told you I said I needed another banner for the right hand side. And I'm just going to punch it out with the same punch. And this is an EK Success punch. And I'm going to outline that one so it matches the rest, and then glue that to that right hand side. And just using a little bit of HG gun. And at the end, I'm going to actually come back and use some liquid adhesive because it is on this textured background with the gesso and it doesn't always stick very well. So I'll come back, you'll see me at the very end of the video messing around and gluing those down with the liquid adhesive. So now I'm going to play with this string and try to figure out how I want it. If I put it all the way behind, you wouldn't see it, but I didn't want it all on top because I thought that would look funny because how are the banners being held up if the string is on top? So what I'm going to ultimately end up doing is weaving it in and out. So every other one I will have the string on top and the other ones I'll have it on the bottom. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I think that looks pretty good. Again, it's just to add a little more texture, and I just didn't want those flags to look like they were floating. I wanted them to look like they were anchored or being strung up with something. So that's what I'm doing right now to get that situated. And I'm just going to tuck the ends under the picture here because I have it popped up so they tuck in very nicely. And then I'm going to tie two little tiny bows for each side of the banner, and just to make it look like it's being held up with some kind of pole or some bow. So I'm just using some liquid adhesive to get everything stuck down, and then I will trim off the excess twine here in just a few seconds. And then I'm going to tie the bow for the left hand side. And a good tip with when you're trying to tie these bows is just cut off more string than you're going to need. That will be much easier to tie them, and then you can always trim the ends. It makes it so much easier than trying to struggle with just a little piece. I'm such a hoarder that I would used to cut these little bitty tiny pieces just so I had just enough for my bow, and then I would struggle for like 10 minutes trying to tie a bow. And I have so much twine on that little roll that I'm never going to be able to use it all. So finally I've realized my ways, and I've decided to tie them up and cut off just more than I need so that I don't have to struggle so much. So now I really like how this looks. Now I'm going to try to figure out what I can put in the top left. The sketch had a butterfly. So of course, like I said earlier, I kind of stick to the rules of the sketch and just kind of keep with that theme. So I thought, oh, why not a butterfly? This is actually a picture that was done at Easter, and I thought butterflies would be perfect. And I'm going to try this butterfly, but ultimately I don't like it. It's going to blend in too much. So I remembered I had a butterfly in my stash from Scraptastic kit that I had. And it's a yellow butterfly, and I thought it was perfect because I have that yellow and polka dot banner over on the right hand side, and that brings that yellow across the page to this side, and it just fits in perfectly, and it's just the right size, I think, for this side of the photo. So I was very excited about that. I'm going to later on end up gluing it down with some glue dots because it just does not stick very well. When I try to do some other things, it pops up, so I will add some glue dots to the back in a little bit. These are some kind of foam thickerish type stickers from Teresa Collins, and they have the gold foiling on them. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of gold to my background since I don't have anything. So I'm using this Tea Color Shine from Heidi Swap, and it is a darker kind of goldish bronze color, and I really like it, and I thought it would add a little bit of extra something to the layout. With the darkness that I have in the black and white photo, I thought it would be nice to balance that out just a bit with some darker spray, and then it also kind of matches the gold foiling that I'm going to put on the word. So here's where I'm gluing on some little glue dots because it wasn't staying with the liquid adhesive, and I'm going to get that back down, and then I'm going to spray the background or splatter the background with some of that Heidi Swap mist. So I'll cover my picture so it doesn't get any splatters on anyone's faces, and then just add some little bits here and there. I didn't want to add it way too heavy, so I kept the sprinkles a little bit lighter and smaller. And now I'm going to work on this, and these Heidi Swap stickers are so much fun to play with, except they are also kind of annoying because this foil is very kind of staticky, so I had a hard time with it trying to like come up as I was trying to stick the sticker down, so I had to really be careful so that it didn't stick someplace I didn't want it to be. So I decided to do it this way. I think there's a couple different ways to do it, but I decided to pull it up this way. It seemed to work the best, and I'm just kind of making it smash down to make sure I don't miss any pieces, and then it's like magic when you pull it off. It is so cool. So I'm going to add that together to the right hand side, kind of on top of the banners and a little bit on the photo, kind of to tie everything together. I thought it looked better with having the T portion of the title on the Polaroid frame. So now I am going to end up putting more gold on a couple more pieces. I'm going to actually put gold on the arrow, 2 of the hearts, and then a couple of the circles. So I didn't have you see me putting the foil on because I kind of had to struggle with it a bit, but I ultimately got it on, and you can see the outcome. Those are so pretty. I love how those turned out, and they actually kind of wrinkle a little bit when you pull them off, and I really like how it gives it that extra texture. So it's not a very flat, smooth look. It's a little bit of a wrinkle, and I kind of like how that looks. So now I added those dots, and I'm coming back with some enamel dots in like a minty color and then a pink color, just to mimic some of the colors that are in the background, and I really like how that turned out. And then I believe the last thing I have to do is I am going to glue down the banners. I am going to put a border of that brown marker around, that Sharpie marker around the edge to tie in the edges of the flags that I had. And then I think it ties everything together. It brings the everything into the center of the layout. I thought everything kind of falls off the page without having that border, with it being so white in the background, and I thought having that markered edge or that lined edge makes it look a lot better. So I am just adding that here now, and I'm going to fast forward to the end of me doing that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add some journaling in the bottom kind of rightish corner. I'm just going to take some pencil and draw some lines, and then I will use that same brown Sharpie marker to add my journaling. So that is pretty much it. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. If you guys would like, you can join us over on our Facebook page at the Crafty Maven Getaway. And also, if you would like to make some layouts that mimic the sketch, you can definitely do that and show us what those look like on Facebook as well. And I think that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe because you would love to see all the rest of our videos, please subscribe to the Crafty Maven. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.